to this edition of the Freedom Link. This April Fool's Day. Oh, good grief. No, of course, I'm not going to be doing any April Fool's crap here tonight. But I'm Joe Joseph along with Johnny King and El Jono. How you doing today, buddy?
Oh, I'm done for the day. I'm well. And yes, no April Fools from us today.
Is that, well, you know. And rightfully so. Let me tell you something. I thought it was April Fool's today when I started to look at some of the articles that were coming out in defense of JADE HELM. We'll get into that. You know, one of the things that really bother me about all this, there isn't enough people with life experience really talking about the reality of JADE HELM and some of the spin that's going on in support of it. So I want to talk about that tonight, specifically because what we have here is a serious propaganda operation trying to defend it. And they use things in this piece that we're going to take to the woodshed, Washington Post, by the way, to justify it when there's absolutely no justification whatsoever. And then I'm going to do a favor. This is at the request of my brother who is listening in tonight because he's like, why aren't you covering Operation JADE HELM? Well, because everybody else is doing it. But when I saw this today, I had to speak up as like I said, the propaganda machine is and just in full swing. So let's get into it. Hour number 2, we'll get into some other stuff, too, that's going to blow your freaking mind. So just you wait. Here we go. The Washington Post today came out with a story. Why Operation JADE HELM 15 is freaking out the internet and why it shouldn't be. First thing that you get from that, right? Oh, you heard it on the internet, man, right? Right, Johnny? Because that's what they try to do. They frame it as if you heard it on the internet, you're a freak.
Yep, absolutely.
When, let's be real here, okay? Just everybody, if you would, please put your critical thinking caps on. It's time to, let's just open our minds for a second, if we will, and think about what's going on with technology. The fact that everything now is digital, okay? So, yes, is there crazy stuff on the internet? Absolutely. Everybody has the freedom to be able to post what they want sometimes without being censored. Not all the time, but sometimes. But everybody can really, you can have a website, you can have a blog, anybody can do it. And you got to be very careful about where you get your sources from. But as you go and as you research, you develop a little bit of discernment. You start to understand what's a good source, what's not a good source, who's the critical thinkers, who's not a critical thinker. And you start to see a picture emerge. And one thing that I've noticed, especially with the mainstream media, is they'll put out 95% truth oftentimes, but it's at 5% and it sticks out like a sore thumb that lead the masses astray. And it does it ever so slightly, because if they do it in a egregiously upfront manner, typically what happens is people can see through the BS. And Dan Lamothe wrote this. He writes, the mission is vast, both geographically and strategically. Elite service members from all 4 branches of the U.S. military will launch an operation this summer in which they will operate covertly among the U.S. public and travel from state to state in military aircraft. Texas, Utah, a section of Southern California, are labeled as hostile territory, and New Mexico isn't much friendlier. That's a scheme for JADE HELM 15, a new special operations exercise that runs from July 15th to September 15th. Army Special Operations Command announced it last week, saying the size and scope of the mission set it far apart from any other training exercises. Quote, the nature of warfare is always changing, and U.S. Army Special Operations Command mission is to make certain the Army's various special operations forces are trained, equipped, and organized to successfully conduct worldwide special operations in support of national interests. This according to Army Lieutenant Colonel Mark Lastoria, who just so happens to be a command spokesman. He said this in an email to the Post. Training exercise JADE HELM is going to assist our special operations soldiers and leadership in refining the skills needed against an ever-changing foreign threat. Stop there. If you're going against a foreign threat, why are you trying to blend in with American citizens? That's number one. Because what they're framing this is we're training to combat, John, ISIS and also Iran and in Syria. So the country of Iran in Syria and against ISIS. How does training in American cities blending in with an American public that is absolutely nothing like the culture over there, how is that beneficial? You know, the military says train the way you fight, fight the way you train.
I was just going to ask that same question similarly. When you're fighting someone and you're training to invade them, wouldn't you want to be as close to the person or country that you're about to invade as possible? I mean, you're not going to train to take over a large city such as Los Angeles in a small 2-horse town. You're going to want to do it, say, in a city like Los Angeles and tell people that you're training for Syria when 99% of them don't have a clue where Syria is on the map.
Now, again, I want to preface this, okay? So, Dan Lamoth, you have absolutely no life experience, obviously, or you're just a puppet for the propaganda machine. I mean, that is absolutely 100% true. I will prove it to you tonight. Now, he continues. He says, the exercise has prompted, here it is, widespread conspiracy theories that the United States is preparing to hatch martial law. Now, stop there. Why would there be, John, widespread conspiracy theories that the United States is preparing to hatch martial law? Because, of course, that's never happened here in the United States, right? There's never been any sort of justification for people to be wary about this, let alone the fact that it violates posse comitatus, something that they trashed after 9/11, all in the guise of peace and safety, you know?
Yeah. Didn't they put the Japanese in internment camps in this country? Japanese Americans in internment camps and during World War II? No one can say that it will never happen here because it already has twice. Lincoln did it.
Absolutely. Okay, so anyway, this has happened time and time again. That's a great example, John. Absolutely great example. If you go to YouTube, there is a video, if you will. Well, actually, it was a propaganda film that they showed